on this episode of 164 Chop Shop. Okay guys, I'm going to just go ahead and kind of talk about everything I did to this bike. This was a 1980 xs650. I chopped it here, so this backbone's all been replaced all the way down to here. I raised this backbone up a little bit right in here, so it used to come down at quite an angle. I wanted to raise that and level this backbone out just to give it a little bit more of a feel of a drop. So then I built this here hardtail at 1.25 inch, 120 wall. I got a bender, so I just started bending and kind of came up with that. I feel like it worked pretty good. I think it's a 5-inch stretch. Ride height is about 5 inches. Fabricated all this stuff. Fabricated this seat mount. I wanted to kind of sit down in there, put that shock on there for a little bit of suspension on the seat. I can drop that down. You can take this bolt out here and put it down here, and then you're just solid hardtail. It'll drop down right on there, and if you don't want the suspension and the shock, you can do that. We're going to go ahead and start on the front. Front wheel is a Sportster 21. I got a video on how that adapted on there. These forks are stock xs650 shocks. Made this mount for the headlight. That's a bait style cheapo. Sleeved these with I don't know, some Schedule 40 or 80. I don't remember what size that was, but I just sleeved that over the top of the fork legs there. Put my boots on. Originally, when I built this bike, it was that Army style with that green tank right up there on it. Some low bars. This here bike right here. So I wanted to change it up, put a little different style tank on there, make it look a little bit more choppery. So I built these bars, put this tank on it. Here's where I did the 2-in-1 exhaust, 2-in-1 intake. I just built out of exhaust tubing, 1.75 inch. Put this 36mm Mikuni on there. Don't know what my jetting is on that. I forget. I've changed it so many times. I don't know where I'm at, but I got it dialed in pretty good. I just need to work on the idle circuit a little bit, and then I'll have her dialed in. Built the foot pegs. Well, them are just some Harley foot pegs there, but I built the whole forward control situation there. They're a little bit forward, not a lot. You can see I just went out a little ways, extended them, built that all in shop here. Kind of just see how I did everything here. Got my battery box right there, and then I got my fuse panel light in here. I use the XS charge ignition and magneto and all that, so it's kick only. And there's my fuse panel right in there. I got that spring on there just so it don't vibrate loose. Crank her down a ways. That seems to work pretty good. And of course, I built all this. Found a brass looking tail light. And as we go over here to the other side, I built this here 2-into-1 exhaust from scratch. That's where it clamps on so you can get it apart. Built that out of 1 3/4. And I believe this is 3.5. That I just pounded that down right in here. Kind of made a little deal to where I could put a nice crease in it and just hammered it down until it fit the 1 3/4. Put a little baffle in there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just a little plate with some holes in it just to kind of restrict a little bit. Seems to work pretty good, sounds good. A little rubber mount there where it's rubber mounted so it don't crack. Here's my shifter. You can see forwards downshift, backwards upshift. Here's my foot clutch. I got a stop on it going forward so you don't overstretch the cable. I've got an adjustment here just like you would on your handlebars. I just chopped a cable, manufactured this piece just so that would thread in there. And then I put some little set screws to hold the cable from slipping out of there on both sides. I got 6 of them to hold that cable in there. And it just loops around and goes into this where it normally would. And I made this little key spot here. I made this little bucket for it. Of course, I've got some ammo accents on there, some brass nuts everywhere. Like I said, I painted that tank. I followed Time Warp Customs. I think it's Time Warp Custom Paint maybe on YouTube. Basically just followed that. I'm not a painter, but I painted 3 tanks now, maybe 4 or 5. This was probably number 3. I think it turned out pretty cool. And I built this fender a little bit too close to the tire. Going about 65, it would stretch up and start hitting the fender. So right here's how I took care of that.
The pencil goes in it now.
That's all it took.
It goes in there now. But you could take off a little bit more if you wanted to. Just a little bit more.
There's a video on how I put that front wheel on there. Check out my other videos for that. She's foot clutch, no front brake, internal throttle. It's one of those cheapos. I'll have to do a video on how those cheapos work. Actually work pretty good once you figure them out. They're tough to figure out, but works pretty good once you get them figured out. Got to get a different set screw, a little longer one to make them work. Put some heat shields on. I think them come chrome, and I just kind of sanded the chrome off to give the nickel look. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Well, it'd be nice if that seat was on there. That was cool. Well, it'd be nice if that seat was on there. That was cool.